Good bartenders know that in order to make a good martini, one has to chill the glass first. I've seen bartenders do this wrong though multiple times, where they take ice and put it in the glass, and then they put water in, but it doesn't have the right effect. It doesn't chill it enough, and the reason being is because they take the ice from the freezer, which is below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which makes it ice, and they add water to it, and the water doesn't, it only gets as cold as the ice, so it doesn't do anything for the mixture. So what you should do is take the ice, which is probably 8 degrees below zero, something like that, and you put it in the cup, and that'll chill it up faster than adding water, and that's probably a better way of making a martini than adding water to it. There are 3 things to remember when you are making chicken or turkey gravy. First, you need to combine all of the fats and the all-purpose flour together, then mix in the broth to the right consistency of what you like, and then only let it sit for 7 minutes. The standard portion for a gravy is 1 part fats, 1 part flour, and 8 to 10 parts liquid. For example, 1/2 cup flour, 1/2 cup fat, and 4 to 6 cups of broth. Another example is 4 tablespoons fat, 4 tablespoons flour, and 2 to 3 cups of broth. You can use the same measurements for beef gravy. Now remove the chicken or the turkey from the oven and set it to rest, and look into the pot, and you can see that there's probably a lot of nice brown fat, juices, vegetables ready for you to use. The essence of this gravy comes from the broth and the driplets from it, as well as the giblets. Yes, you can make the gravy in the roasting pan, but it's kind of hard to see the proportions, so it can skew everything. It's also very hard to have 2 burners going for that big roasting pan, and it makes it kind of difficult to clean up afterwards. It's better to measure like this. Pour the gravy out with all the juices and the fats, but leave the vegetables in, and the cup with the fats and the juices will level out and the fat will float to the top, and it's easier to measure that way. How to make a lobster. So first you're going to want to go to the market, and when you pick out a lobster, make sure it's a lively one, whatever catches your eye. And when you pick it up, you need to pick it up by the back, and back where its head is. Lift it up, and if it droops, forget about it, go home, come back another day. It's not the right day to do it. So when you come back and get your lobsters, remember that you need a large container, and when you put them in there, they can only survive in air for a few hours. So you need to keep them cool and kind of moist. So take them home and get a very large, deep stock pot, a covered one. Fill it up, depending on the size of the lobster, with no more than 3 quarts of water. So then you bring that to a boil, and while it's almost to a boil, dump in about 1/3 cups of kosher sea salt, which makes it kind of like a mock seawater. And then when it's at a rolling boil, take the lobster one at a time and plunge it head first into the water. Then boil it. It depends on how big it is. If it's 1 pound, it's about 8 minutes. If it's 1 1/4, it's about 11 1/2 minutes. and if it's 2 pounds, it's 15 minutes. So let it boil and then simmer, reduce the heat, and when it's done boiling, remove the lid and remove the lobsters one at a time with tongs. Take it out. You're going to want to poke a hole in between its eyes with a small knife so that it'll drain the excess water from it, so that it'll make it cleaner for when you open it later. And make sure not to overboil, overcook the lobster, because the meat is very sensitive. So then you drain out the excess water from the lobster and get rid of any other things you don't need. Then place it down on a plate, serve it with butter and lemon wedges, and that is how you cook the lobster. I did some research on my own about whether or not pop can actually go bad. And what I found was very interesting. First, I called the label on a Coke bottle and talked to a woman, and we discussed various questions I had. The first was, can pop in fact go bad? Because I know that they have expiration dates or drink by dates, but I was just not sure if it could actually go flat when it was completely sealed. And she said yes, in about 9 months, Coca-Cola, a bottle of Coca-Cola can start to go flat, so drink anytime before that for like optimum flavor. Other pops we found can only really last about 3 months because of aspartame, which is a flavoring which can affect the carbon dioxide rate that's going into the bottle or the can. I also figured out that freezing soda can also be pretty bad because it'll expand in the freezer and let in more carbon dioxide, which makes it flatter. And but found out that glass bottles are porous, so they aren't permeable to any kind of weather change or anything specific like that. So that's good. And you should always keep your soda in a chilled environment because it'll stay good longer. That's about it.